Hello, Gemini. Let's see what are your twin flame messages. We're going to do an emergency reading because a lot of you have been asking for it. So let's get it started. Okay, we have the current situation being the heartbreak. Right. So both of you feel a sense of deep loss, a deep regret over what happened. Um, there is also an avoidant type of energy. Like one of you is probably really sitting with this pain, and the other one is trying to avoid it and not wanting to talk about it because it opens up like a lot of deep feelings and vulnerability around this time. So you might experience your person or your twin flame. Look at that, we got the twin flame card at the bottom of the deck, not wanting to deal with this pain, not wanting to deal with the heartbreak, and feeling quite upset for the way that things are going. And I do feel like you both could be in that energy of not wanting to talk things through, dealing with the pain in a separate way, and not yet ready for the deeper communication about the issue. Okay, so yeah, let's see what is going on for your twin flame right now. Please tell us more. Although I do also feel like you are also in this having like boundaries, kind of like turning your back, okay, but you're still sitting with this heartbreak, and so does your twin flame. Like you're both grieving this loss or this separation or this breakup right now. Let's see their current feelings for Gemini. Ooh, the sun. Look at that. And the Ten of Swords. Ooh. The Fool reversed, and we've got the Knight of Pentacles reversed, and the Six of Pentacles. You know what I'm getting through? That your twin flame was in there under the conception of like everything was fine, everything was good. Like I don't know what the hell just happened to Gemini to flip the script on me. Like they're just feeling like, well, Gemini, you just weren't happy with something while we were actually doing quite good. Like there was a lot of happiness, there was like everything was going positive, and then boom, things shifted. So that's what I'm kind of like getting here. Okay, but they're not really questioning themselves. They're not questioning if they took enough responsibility to understand you or understand your pain. They just were under the idea of like things were actually going quite good. Like why did Gemini actually bring up this um, whole pain up, right? Like there might have been something that you said that kind of like triggered this whole separation, right? Like that's how they kind of like look at things. However, I don't see that they were actually taking the necessary steps. They were not being consistent. They were not being mature. There was a lot of immaturity here and taking a lot of risk, which eventually brought them to feel the ending, right? Like the Ten of Swords is like feeling betrayed or going through an ending. However, it did come from reckless behavior and not being consistent and not being focused on the future. And then we have the Six of Pentacles. So it all went down due to reciprocity. So you were giving too much and they felt like you weren't giving too much, and that kind of like exploded at one point, right? Let's see what the other deck. What's your energy? What's your energy towards your twin? And keep in mind, roles can be reversed. Take whatever resonates. Oh yeah, look at that. We've got the Four of Wands and we've got the Justice on your end. So you felt like you had to take some sort of action in order to do what is fair for yourself and for the other person. So, being or doing justice is not always equal to, always staying in harmony with them, or, like standing up for yourself does require you also to take the consequences of that, right? So I feel like with the justice, you actually did what you were supposed to do to balance the scales, and actually with the intention for them to give more. However, they they kind of like put themselves in a position of like, you betrayed us, you did this to us. And that's what I'm getting at. Even though they're not really taking the responsibility of their own reckless behavior, because that's a fool in the reverse, that's being foolish. So their own foolish behavior actually led to you actually standing up for yourself with that justice, and no longer tolerating this person to isolate you or to um, ignore you. Okay, like there could have been like this constant energy of like putting you out in the cold, not communicating properly, not communicating maturely, or constantly make you feel like you do not have a place in their life, right? Like that's what usually also happens with twin flames. They know how very well how to keep you at a distance, and that distance can create a lot of um, hurt. And I feel like at one point you were just like, I don't want to be hurt anymore. I don't want to be left out in the cold anymore. And you actually did your best to get yourself out of that energy. Six of Wands is like actually successfully feeling the courage to be able to stand in your truth, to speak the truth, and to handle from a place of um, consequences. And you took the consequences for yourself to not stay in a connection where you constantly felt out in the cold, but instead you flipped the script and you put them out in the cold. And now I feel like you messed up the whole connection. You see, yeah, there's a lot of worry, there's a lot of stress. You might be questioning whether you did the right thing here by standing up for yourself, because in a twin flame dynamic, standing up for yourself and actually not allowing that person to give you that cold treatment, to put you on an arm's length, to keep you constantly under the wraps with how they look at you, that takes a lot of courage. Let's see. Okay, we've got hidden coming through. What else? And the inner child. So that fool also always makes me believe that there is this inner child issue, right? Like something that they should have healed. So it feels to me, maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, that your person has been suffering from wanting too much attention, if that's the best way I can tell. You know, when you're spoiled, I feel like there is this energy of being spoiled and constantly wanting more and more attention and like validation from the other person, because something within their inner child has not been healed. So they're not behaving maturely, they're behaving immaturely to get their way, to get what they want. And you standing up for that justice was like, no, you're not going to get it your way. It's going to be my way or the highway. But that's like a very whoa thing, according to them. Okay. What's the blockage here? What's the blockage? In the extended, we do have an extended after a long time. I'm going to check in with their next actions towards you. But let's see what the blockage is here. The Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords is jumping to conclusion. It's a bit of a tactful energy. Um, it's actually just an energy of too direct communication, too blunt communication, saying things that are irreversible and could cause for some chaos, could cause for some, hurt feelings. Okay. Now, I don't know if that was you or that was them, but it did bring up a lot of sadness and grief from both your ends. So it feels to me that it was you. So that means that you had it up till here, you had enough, and you kind of like fired up some sort of, you know, ooh, that was a big beat. You kind of like fired up because you were really fed up with the way that this person was acting like the victim. So with the Nine of Wands, you did this out of self-protection. And with the Queen of Swords, I think you are aware that what you said previously was very hurtful. But now that you take a step back and you think about it, you're like, okay, yeah, that was reckless, but still it came from a planted seed that was truthful. Meaning that maybe if you would go into the conversation right now with them, you would be less reactive, you would be less attackful. Well, not attackful in the worst way, but the Knight of Swords is like, doesn't really think. It just like fires up their thoughts without really taking the other person in consideration, right? It's like speaking your truth, but like super bluntly. But even though you know that you may have said it in a way that was painful, the Queen of Swords does really indicate that you know that it comes from a very logical perspective, and that you have to be at a certain point a little bit emotionally detached in order to get your point across. So it's like you understand why they feel this way, but then again, you're like, yeah, that's the way I think. So how are we going to deal with that? Because you can change your way of feeling and thinking just to accommodate their feelings. So somewhere along the line, you kind of like stopped, mothering the issue, right? Like somewhere along the line, you stopped allowing them to play the victim. And in order to stand your ground, you have to stand your stand with that Queen of Swords, which is being objective, logical, and understanding that sometimes people need to learn from a little bit of, objectivity and logic and distance. You get me? Gosh. Okay. Ace of Swords. Yeah, I do see here that actually you spoke the truth, and the truth hurts. And I feel like they got hurt because of the truth that you spoke, and they don't want to accept the vulnerability of that pain. But see, that shouldn't be your problem, because if that's like, if this Five of Pentacles was the way that they made you feel, you have the right to speak up. But what has been maybe going wrong, maybe, not sure, it doesn't have to be, right? Could be because you constantly were hiding your true thoughts and feelings because you knew that they would actually use that as a leverage against you, and then make you feel the guilty one, make you feel gaslighted into that guilt trip. Right. Let me know how that resonates. My God, I'm not even sure if I was ready to do any twin flame readings. So yes, that's what I have for you, Gemini. I'm going to do the extended, so follow me on the extended. You can join the button, or you can purchase it on the illestilluminator.com. The link is in the description box below. I haven't said that for such a long time, but we will check in with their next actions. Okay, that's what I have for you. Let me know in the comments below, and I catch you there.